Views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and Amechi is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as medical nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the RealPublicRadio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network, simulcast on YouTube.com. Just look for 4 words, The Forbidden History Series. The Forbidden History Series. And you did tell your friends, right? You did? Well, okay. Well, thank you for doing that. We're about to have a great program. Still time to call your friends.
Hello, welcome to our very special Basic Reset Health website on water, hydration, and nutrient regeneration. It is not just about drinking the proper amounts of water, but we also have to have the right amount of nutrients in the water to replenish our body's daily needs. As you will soon see in the main video, after you watch this short clip about making real money online with the Master Force Group. So instead of using the hit and miss learning process, why not work with a group of experienced and professional marketers, known as the Master Force Group, an international investment and radio broadcasting company, while you then immediately go right over to the center of this page and click on the blue button and watch the video on this remarkable water and nutritional product line called Basic Reset. Now don't sign up on this promotional website, but instead, call us for your free automatic sign-up and placement under one of our group partners, who is already in our lead share program called Downline Direct. It is people helping people. You are never obligated to promote or sell anything. Call us at 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. Thank you for considering the Master Force Group and Basic Reset today. Get a 20% discount on your first order the moment you sign up.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, go to the website, go to 3Ws.freeamerica.basicreset.com. That's freeamerica.basicreset.com. Free as in free America, freedom, you know. freeamerica.basicreset.com. And check out the website. Do not sign up on it. That's our promotional site. Call us, and we put everybody on a 3x5 card rotation. So we sign up people under you through our broadcasting. We want to help out our listeners. We want to support you. You're supporting us when you support your health. Okay, so it's a win-win for everybody, and it's a way to build your organization. Okay, most people are not marketers. Let us do it for you as we continue to grow. And go to this website, http://freeamerica.anovite.com. That's ANOVITE, anovite.com. freeamerica.anovite.com. Use the hyperlink http://. Okay, and check out the most powerful food on earth. We've got it all right here, ladies and gentlemen. And we're health researchers, been doing it all of our lives, and we have friends getting results, bottom line. So thanks for doing that, and we'll see you on the other side. You did tell your friends, right? Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series, the Pirate Sea of Words, the Great Lies of History, and every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, citizens of the American Constitution.net, Jack and Margie Flynn. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here, ladies and gentlemen. Special presentation tonight after Jack and Margie Flynn. I've got the almost first 3 chapters now of the Gospel of Mark based on original thought. Okay, in other words, what they were saying when they were speaking 2,000 years ago in original thought, Aramaic. You have not heard anything. We're going to make history right on radio. And then a follow-up with a excerpt from the Colbrin. Some people call it the Colbrin Bible, but it was the book of Joseph of Arimathea, the great uncle of Yeshua, the Mashiach, Jesus the Christ. And it's just outstanding, deep esoteric spirituality coming in these lost writings we've never heard of before, basically. I haven't even had them a year yet, and I'm astounded at the work. So you got a treat tonight coming your way, and the wick is thick. Thank you, Bob, for the sound check, okay, on our stream and on our audio on the conference line. We got friends on streaming, on conference. And don't forget, if you want to call in, you can do that. We're user friendly. We'd love to hear from you. 712-432-8773. That's 712-432-8773. PIN number 179441#. That's 179441#. *5 will raise your hand. And you can also ask a question, make a comment on Skype by texting it. You can try calling in. We might be able to do a three-way Skype, okay? Free America Radio, all one word, Free America Radio. And our instant replay line is always good to go. It's just one number, and change that 3 to a 4 on our conference system, 712-432-8774. Same PIN number, 179441#, and then 05 when pound when prompted, pound, and then we put the date on there, because after we do the next broadcast, it goes to dates, and that's today's 5/21/17, 5/21/17. That's how you do the date, okay, when prompted. So I'm your host, Desert Owl. Glad you're tuned in. Bird who sees in the night, and boy, do we see a lot. And looking for those rose-colored glasses or the red pill. Somebody, please give me a break today. How about a Miller? I don't know, but we got to deal with the reality. That's the challenge here. We've got a world run by psychopaths. They basically want to kill us all. In the meantime, we have to figure out our true eternal nature, our eternal being that is simply in a jar of clay, hanging out for a while, wondering what in the world am I doing here? And so we talk about the stuff of life. You know stuff. Love to hear from you. And don't forget, tell your friends, all right? Because, well, we need to get the word out, don't we? About we are all doing time. Okay, that's what we're doing, aren't we? On planet Earth, we are all doing time. And you know, it doesn't matter whether you're on the inside or on the outside, because we're all doing time. And for some of us, it's hard time, and we're never going to get over the pain. We're just going to have to learn how to deal with it, and that's what we're doing right here, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by for the broadcast, okay? And we got cosmic weather, we got grand illusions. Take your pick, okay? We've got Fukushima, we got radiation all over this world, killing animals in the Pacific. It's quite a world, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And also support grassroots organizations like this great music we have here, shantyrecords.com. That's Shanty, SHANTI, records.com, on this wonderful introduction song, okay? So thanks for doing that. Still trying to fix our mixing board. Need a couple more components, and we need a break today. Any size donation, you get the Book of Wisdom with the Indo-Germanic Dictionary, or the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, done in 2011, 8.5 by 11, 300 pages, or the 12 articles on the natural right of man. And you can also get a free sample of our health newsletter called Health Break, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so we try to give. We just ask for any size donation. If you don't have the funny money, then we'll be glad to get you a copy anyway. You can always hit us up as well at contact@freeamericaradio.com, contact@freeamericaradio.com, and welcome to the broadcast. Again, I'm your host, Desert Owl. I've been broadcasting off and on for the last 25 years, became a political activist around last century, 1990. And at that time, I thought I was a latecomer. I mean, just like Jack and Margie, who are standing by. They're in their mid-70s, thereabout, and they were doing it before I even knew we had a problem. Well, I mean, I knew these people were kissing our babies and kissing us off. I didn't know that, but I never voted because I knew they were all lying to me, and I just went inward on my spiritual journey. But once I got stuck in an 18-wheeler, and I didn't like talking on that squawk box, so I listened to talk radio all day and night. I worked about 120 hours a week, you know, never went home. And so listen to talk radio. And then within a year, I figured out, hey, you know, we got a problem here in America. I've been kind of isolated doing my thing. And then so I got involved. And already there were people who were getting old in this movement. Dr. Eugene Schroeder, a the agricultural movement. And these guys in the 1970s, I think, drove tractors to Washington. They were the banksters were ripping off the farmers and taking their property. Farmers killing themselves. I mean, we even had what was it, Willie Nelson, right, doing Farm Aid. Give me a break, Farm Aid, right, for farmers. Of course, I guess that's why the IRS went after him and took his farm from him, because you don't mess with the beast system, of course, and expose their corruption to make them look bad, or they're going to go after you. And yeah, it's just I have made a lot of friends in the freedom movement, the Take Texas Back movement when I was living in Texas. They're now they ended up in prison, or they died in prison, or they died on the side of the road. They got injected with something in prison and got out and then died, like Gary Graham of the Take Texas movement. Just it's so tragic. The people that were waking up, and then like in Take Texas Back, I can't remember their names anymore. But good people waking up to the wrongs, don't know how the whole shell game works, the whole racket, this shell game of where there are no real sovereign nations, only imaginations. It's only in your mind, because they're really plantations, and we were the plantations. They defined us in the original meaning of the word as the people are the plantations that they planted over here to build their new Atlantis for them. And where was I going with all that? That these are just corporations. It's the grand illusion. Okay, international means bury the nations of the Father. It's a code, just like vaccine. Means the burning cup of death. Vaccinate. Sin means to burn. You see, like inter means to bury. International. So they're the masters at trickery, word trickery, and art, and the grand illusion, and they got everybody under the spell. And they will get most of the people literally willing to die to protect the beast. They love the beast, and especially those ones that are on the tit, because they get all that free milk, and certainly they're not going to turn against their own mommy. So go figure. And that's the problem we have today. And to make more sense out of it, I guess I should stop talking and bring on our good friends every Sunday night now. We did our first radio program back, I guess, over a decade ago. Jack and Margie Flynn, citizens of the American Constitution.net, and a whole lot more. Jack and Margie, are you there?
Yes, we are. Good evening, Joseph.
Good evening. Good to have you. How are things on your end?
We're moving.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're up in Maine. Do you know why they call it Maine?
Tell me why.
Okay. Well, because when they were coming around from the Europe, going through Scandinavia, the Vikings, for instance, and then they come over to Iceland and Greenland, and they come down by Newfoundland, Scotland, and then what they got to pass? They got to pass that giant Gulf of the Great Lawrence River, Saint Lawrence River, right? And what's the next stop after Saint Lawrence River? The mainland of America.
There we go.
Yep, that's why they called it Maine. And wonder why they called it. They got all those ports over there named after hemp, right? Hampshire and all that stuff, because they were growing hemp here secretly too. Go ahead.
Hemp is a very good product. It's nothing wrong with hemp. Doing it on a larger scale in this country.
You got to follow the trail, the words. The words are the road signs for me. That's how I pull a lot of these things together.
Yeah. The Constitution was written on hemp paper. Yes.
Oh yeah, and so is our dollar today, right? The funny dollar. I mean, it's hemp.
It's not our dollar.
Yeah, it's not even a dollar. Right now, Margie, your audio is a little garbled right now, and so let's get closer to the mic. Let's breathe deep and try to keep that same quality we had last week. We did pretty good. So and that was a great program last week. You gave a lot of your energy for 2 hours to our friends losing homes, to get it all on record, and we got it all recorded. So thank you so much for doing that.
Good. I hope it helps people.
Yeah. So where are y'all going tonight? And you're thinking?
Any place you'd like to go, Dennis. We don't have anything set in mind. We just go.
Yeah. Now, Jack is better with his mic, and yours is a little garbled. So everything's the same as last week, as far as you know, on your setup.
Same, exactly the same.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah, it's the same as it was last week.
Okay. Well, how did you normally don't you pick and choose what you're going to respond to in the email, but what about that expose on Alex Jones that came through on those graphics about his CIA Masonic family, huh?
Yeah, that was interesting. Uh, I've known about Alex Jones's, let me say, questionable character and background for quite some time. Way back in the 90s, I think it was, Bill Cooper spoke to the fact that Jones was not who he pretended to be as a poet. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people listen to Alex Jones and they take him seriously. And to be fair, he's put out a lot of really intriguing information. Some people would say that, he has been responsible for educating you, while others just see him as a blowhard and a fearmonger. I don't know. It's a mixed bag, but there's definitely something suspect about him because he never really advocates the solution. He only talks about the problem. He never advocates the solution.
Yeah, and to call your congressman and support the
Yeah.
beast. In other words, that's the solution, right? Call your congressman.
Well, that really good. And many people have over the years asked Jack and I, why don't you get in touch with Alex Jones? I said, if you try, he doesn't want to hear us. And so people have written to Alex Jones and said, you should have these guys on. They've got something real, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, we'll get in touch with them. And they never did. I was on that show once as a follow-up with Jason, and he really was uncomfortable because I was pressing some buttons that he didn't press. So it's clear to me that they don't really care about fixing things. They only care about
Well,
making money for things.
yeah, and you know what? You don't sneak into Bohemian Grove, okay? You don't do that.
Oh,
It don't
no,
happen. That right there's the red flag. But I knew I knew he was a double trouble because I knew the issues, and therefore before anybody was coming out with the expose about him, I knew there was something definitely wrong because I had heard that he sold out some people to the feds when he went in and took videotape and stuff in Texas, and so I was privy to some of that information. But what got me was the issues because at one point after about 10 years in the broadcasting and knowing the issues as well as I did, it came down to I developed a saying, and it was that it's not what they're talking about that you want to hear, but it's what they're not talking about. So if you know the issues and what they're not talking about, then you can really know who anybody is.
Pretty much right. He doesn't go far enough. He goes to a certain place and he keeps replaying the same thing over and over again. But he doesn't take it beyond it. He doesn't go to the real stuff. So to me, that's a tip off right away that he's not sincere. He's just dating people. And I do believe he's a fearmonger. And we talked about this a little bit last week about the whole game being rigged and living basically all of it. And the way these people succeed in overcoming the people keeping us down, is by affecting our frequencies, our vibrations. Because we're all frequency, we're all waves of energy. And when we're talking about things that are scary or anger inducing or what have you, it lowers our vibration. And I think people who really care about the country and they care about right and wrong are in a quandary because it's a line that you have to draw between being completely oblivious, like some of the so-called airy fairies. And I don't want to hear anything negative. I'm going to just go la 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 and sing kumbaya and hum for a week. And then there's the other people that eat, sleep, and breathe all the conspiracies, all the problems, all the so-called negative news. And I think in their own way, unwittingly, they're addicted to the cycle of the So I find it mostly helpful to just sort of try to stay in confidence. When I see or hear something that I believe is important in terms of understanding what's going on behind the fake reality, I will pay it my attention. But I try not to get so wrapped up in it that I feel it on a daily basis. And I try to keep my vibrations as high as I can because I want to stay above that frame. Because I know that if I allow myself to go into a negative emotional spiral, then the beast wins and I lose. So staying in joy, staying as happy as you possibly can, doing things that you love, being creative. That's a way to fend off the beast, at least until something larger comes along. We need a massive movement of people. And as Jack and I have said many times, as much as we would love to see what happened, the American people just haven't shown up. I don't know if they have the capacity to show up. I pray that they do. I'm not sure that they do. But we do need something to happen because we're in a very precarious situation right now. You know what's going on with the media and the lies about Russian stories and Trump and all the nonsense. There are other things happening, stories coming out about Clinton and Seth Rich's deaths and all this. Media is not reporting on this. So it's up to the people like you and us and others to share information. But how far does it go? And how many people, even the people that we reach, are willing to do anything about it? We have to ask ourselves that question. Are we really committed to trying to make a real change for the better? Or do we just, roll over and say forget it? Because this is a big question. It's a human issue.
Desert, I have some favorite phrases too that I've used for years. And one of them that I used since I was a very young guy is this: it's all bullshit. And that's absolutely the truth. It is all bullshit.
Right. You can also spell that B-A-A-L, ball. But go ahead.
Yeah, you do that too, yes.
There are some people who do not, let's say, espouse that position. Okay. There are some legitimate people left in the country, but not many. The government works on actuarial averages, just like insurance companies do, just like banks do. And the government has the American people figured down to 100%. They know what the people are going to do in any given situation at any given time. Because the people are simply robots. They simply do what they're told to do. They don't ask questions. They don't make comments. They don't challenge anything. They simply support the evil in the system. And they've been doing it for a very long time. So Margie asked the question as to whether the American people have it. The answer is no, they don't. Margie and I are all about truth. We're all about truth. We're all about reality. We're all about facts. And if you take a look at truth and you take a look at the reality of that, you take a look at facts that are on the public record in America, the American people have supported the evil government from the very beginning. They've never opposed it once. Most countries have had revolutions along their way, okay? Maybe every 40, 50 years, a country has a revolution. We had one. It was called the War of Northern Aggression. The North was the aggressor in that war, not the South. The South was fighting for the Constitution and for the rights of the people and for states' rights. The North was fighting for the Zionists, the imperialists.
Yeah, they had a false flag and fired the first shot on Fort Sumter, right?
Yes,
Of course. It's all fraud. It's all bullshit. But yet the people buy the fraud. They buy the bullshit. It goes on and on and on. Again, that's why we retired about 7 years ago. And even before we retired, we were slowing down. I mean, my God, we used to do like 15 seminars a year. We were doing that for years. You put on a seminar, it's a 3-day deal. Then you got to travel back and forth. You got to make all sorts of preparations to take care of things. We were exhausted. We were helping tens of thousands of people during the time. It was exhausting. And Margie asked the question, do the people have it? No, the people don't have it. Because the people wanted us to do their work for them. They weren't willing to do their own work. We said, look, we can't do your work for you. We can show you what we did in our cases. We can show you our emotions. We can show you our strategy. We can show you our formulas. But then you have to do it. Oh, no, we want you to do it for us. Okay? No, we don't do that. Very few people, in terms of percentages, very, very few, took the work seriously enough to take the cases to court and win. And as I said before, over this program and other programs, I would estimate that to be probably 1/40th to 1/20th, 1% of the people we reached. All right, that's very bad. That's very bad. Yet we won probably over the decades on 10,000 more pages. So we reached a lot of people. The question is, how many people are we going to take it seriously enough to use it? Well, that minute percentage did. And virtually everyone who did it directly won. Okay? Because the Constitution is still the law of the land if you know how to use it effectively. But most people never hear about it, they don't know about it, they're not concerned about it. They follow the phony laws, okay? I mean, my God, it's a crime today to violate an unconstitutional law. What about the Fourth Amendment? Fourth Amendment's out the window as far as people and the government is concerned. What the government does is set up some type of phony law that opposes the Constitution, opposes due process law. And if an American citizen violates that law, that violation is a crime. Okay? The complaint is out the window, the sworn complaint is out the window, the party making the complaint is out the window, the injury is out the window, and the people go along with it. Like it's normal. Well, it is normal to accept unconstitutional actions because the country has ever opposed unconstitutional actions. We supported them all along. So I have no hope for that as far as people. Now, wait. However, there's a caveat to that. It's never too late to correct the wrong. If the American people can realize that they, as a society, have accepted all the wrongs of government and required nothing constitutional from government, if the people can understand that, they can make amends. If they don't understand, okay? So I don't think they'll ever make amends. I think America, as far as the America we knew, is gone. It's gone forever. It's done. So.
Yeah. Well, when did you, Jack? Because you're talking right now. When did you have your born on the 4th of July or wake up to the reality of the illusion? Were you in college or was it right from the beginning because you had good parents, or how did that all happen?
I grew up in a political family from the Boston area, involved in politics from the very beginning, on both sides of the family. And as I mentioned before, one of my ancestors was John Adams and his son John Quincy, both presidents. And that was on my mother's side. And my father's side, they go back all the way to the very beginning as well. So I was brought up in politics. I was brought up on what goes on in this country from the very beginning. But political families tend to be extremely corrupt, as you likely know.
Yeah.
So I didn't necessarily follow in the footsteps of the family. I didn't follow the characteristics of the businesses of the family. I was kind of excited about it because I could see from the very beginning that there are two classes in America, have and have us. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with having things as long as you get those things legitimately, ethically, fairly.
Yeah.
But to have, for the most part, have not received what they have through those means.
Yeah.
A lot of chicane, a lot of piracy, a lot of
right. I think another way to put it, Jack, would be there's the insiders and the outsiders, right? Too.
Absolutely.
That's a way of putting it too. And I think in along those lines, I think Americans, for the most part, we talked about the ignorance, stupidity, and all that's true. But I also think that they feel, for the most part, very disempowered, very unimportant as the machinery that is owned by the elites, and that makes the elite rich, and really supports the people that operate their so-called machinery of the world, and at the same time exhausts them and makes them just barely able to get up and do the same thing day after day after day. it's very easy to give up on things when you're college. And I think the biggest tragedy of all is that that mindset is precisely what the powers that be want the people to have. They want the people to have it. Because peons looks at the boss man say anything to him that's going to be contradictory, because it's like going to crumbs in his family. And so the American people have basically gone along to get along for a long time. They have bought the mentality of getting ahead of all costs in virtually every way possible. And they really, for the most part, don't realize just how false and empty that path is, because they're not recognizing their own personal sovereignty as being, as spirit, as soul. That part of us that belongs only to the Creator Source. And instead of concentrating on that and allowing that to make us strong, give us the insights and clarity that we need to avoid the trappings of this false world, we buy the program that the false program sells. This is important. You have to dress like the Kardashians. You have to drive a car like the guy up the street or whatever nonsense the human being who likes to think of himself as being cool or with it, it's programming, it's advertising, it's marketing, it's salesmanship. And people are just followers. They don't know how to stand up on their own and say, no, that doesn't suit me. I'm going to do it on me. So we've become a nation of sheep, essentially. And sheep, don't typically turn around and bite the wolf, do they? They just cower together in a bunch and maybe run off the cliff together, but they don't turn around and say, hey, there's more of us than there are those wolves. We can kick the crap out of them, and there are more wolves. But Americans don't seem to see that. And sadly, other people in other countries don't see either. That's the fringe revolution that they're using. Those are seated by powers at the anyway, because they want to do things change for their own benefit. So the human condition worldwide, not just in America, is pretty miserable right now. All of the toys and whistles and technology in the world cannot justify or compensate for the sad state of affairs of the human person soul. That's where we're at in a very low in our soul right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the so-called New Ages, they leave me cold, because they've been talking the same dribble for years and years and years, and nothing has changed, has it? Nothing. Not a single thing.
Yeah, the New Ages have the Bangladesh syndrome. It's all for the best and the best of all possible worlds. Which is
bad checks. It's all good, right?
Yeah. Just total nonsense.
Yeah, it's all orchestrated by the secret societies, basically, the Freemasons,
Yeah.
Eastern Star,
Yeah.
witches.
And they get people convinced that, doing nothing and being indifferent to what's going on, well, that's cool, that's it, man, that's okay. No, it's not.
Yeah.
We should have been paying attention a long, long time ago when we happened there. And so, we are willing to blame ourselves collectively as a species. I wish I could say that, tomorrow things are going to get better. I'd love to see that. But unless people get better, unless people actually grow up, wake up and stand up,
no, nothing is going to change. And you asked at what age I really, let's say, made this my life's work, or at least an application for my life's work. I would say it started about 14, a little before 14.
About when, Jack? When?
Yeah, 14. I was a freshman at Boston Institute.
Okay.
Is when I really started doing this. And I haven't stopped, except for the time, as I mentioned, that Mark and I announced our retirement. I mean, my God, we devoted our lives to this constitutional movement. Now, that's not the only thing we did. I was a businessman, I was a teacher, I was an inventor, Mark did all sorts of things too. But one of the main themes beyond earning a living was the Constitution. Yeah, justice and restoration of constitutional governance to America. But I mentioned over this program and other programs before that the people who who took seriously that minute percentage I mentioned. Once those people won their cases, and there were all sorts of cases from very low, ordinary cases to very high IRS high-ten cases, government cases. As soon as they won those cases, they didn't pass it forward. They didn't carry it on. They dropped out of the movement. The American people were very selfish, okay? Now, there were a few people who did try to pass it on. I mentioned the fellow in Hawaii was one, very good guy. A few other people did too, but most of them just dropped out and wanted nothing to do with restoration of constitutional governance. Because I got mine, that's why I was in this, I'm out, I'm finished, okay? And the vast majority of people who went to the seminars, heard us over the radio, or saw us on TV for this TV series on Constitution as well. When they contacted us, it wasn't to benefit America, or what can we do to benefit this country? What can we do to restore constitutional governance in this country? No, it was how can I get out of the problem? How can I get my kids back? How can I beat the IRS? Okay? We had it with that. We just had it with that. We were interested.
Not that we were unconcerned about people's rights, but let that statement make it sound like we were qualified.
No, because we helped a lot of people with those issues.
So we were trying to invoke in the people, not just a desire to write personal wrong, but
To help the
the
country.
desire to bring America back on course, to make her a true constitutional republic with a government that operates under constitutional compliance. And when some aspect of the government fails to do that, that aspect of the government is changed to be more constitutionally. That is not as big a task as it sounds. People were taking small bites of that open, which was what our agenda was. Locally, one by one, community by community, people waking up and saying, hey, we're the government, we have the power to do this, we have the authority, we tell government what to do. But for the life of us, we could not get people to understand. And it's little thing, you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. Some people said, oh, this is great, yeah, I'm excited. And they were excited initially. But it takes a real strong level of commitment and dedication to do this day after day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And that's really what it takes. If you're a real patriot, you have to be on guard and vigilant every single day. It doesn't mean you have to get the streets, you don't have to be waging a fight with the neighbor or the local justice system or whatever. But you do have to be paying attention. And you do have an opportunity every day that you can lighten something, help something, even help a lady across the street to do something that's out of your own personal gain. And that's something that the American people are very, very woefully deficient in. And that is the will to step outside of themselves, look at the big picture, and see what they can contribute to make things better. They haven't wanted to do it. I think we've been programmed for a long time to be very selfish, to be mentally lazy when it comes to aspects of government and politics. And when you look at how corrupt everything is, you can see why you say, oh, I don't want to run anything about politics. It's depressing. I agree, it is depressing. I wish I could totally do it. I cannot, because I'm a sentient being. And as long as I'm a sentient being, I'm going to care about it. And I'm going to do what I can within my own realm and sphere of influence to try to make things better. And if everybody did that, our country would be totally different. If everybody had the will to not only do their own thing, but help others speak their spirit, but to stand up and speak out when something is wrong, and to confront arrogance and speak truth to power, America would have been the shining beacon of progress. I think our best founders thought that she would and could be. Sadly, we never did fail very miserably in the legacy of upholding the
They failed right in the beginning. The American people failed right in the beginning. Now, we had some courageous people who fought the revolution, and we did have some honorable people within government in those days. Some. And someday maybe we'll get into who about George Washington and how this whole thing.
Well, yeah, that's what I want to do on the Forbidden History for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. We'll be happy to do that. As a matter of fact, we were kind of banned from what was that network?
John Stadtmiller.
Yeah, John Stadtmiller.
Oh, George Stadtmiller, the Israeli Mossad agent. Go ahead.
Yeah, a Mossad agent, probably. We spoke about the truth of Washington over his network, and he didn't like it.
He preached.
And we said, we're finished. We're finished with this network.
Yeah, he betrayed Mark Hornkey, a real American hero. That's when I knew what he was all about. Go ahead.
Yeah, he spoke for the fourth time. He actually had the audacity to call after the program and try to get me to get Jack to, retract and soften up his speech. And I said, I would not do that. Yeah. I said, what he said was true. And I was going to tell him to not speak the truth, but I can't believe you would ask me to do such a thing. He said, well, hemming and hawing. I said, John, we're done. It's over. See you later. And then a year or 2 or 3 later, he the audacity to call me again because he was having some personal problems and wanted to know what I would do if I were in his shoes. I couldn't believe it.
Well,
life is interesting, isn't it?
Unfortunately, there were a lot of frauds. Okay, not everyone was a fraud, but almost everyone was a fraud. Okay, and the American people have never recognized frauds. They've always supported the frauds. They've always supported the evil. Now, you've heard us say this before, but we're speaking truth, and the facts bear it out. The American people have always supported the evil element of this country. Never once in this country's history, with the exception of the Southern Revolution, never once have the American people actually fought for the Constitution and fought for the rights of the people. Now, a lot of people will say, well, we fought the First World War. We shouldn't have been in the First World War. And if we were in the First World War, we were on the wrong side. England was always our enemy. Germany was never really our enemy. England was always our enemy. We should have stayed out of the Second World War. We had no business in the Second World War. We had no business in Korea. We had no business in Vietnam. We have no business now occupying 138 different countries across the world. But the American people support the evil that is America. So what can you expect from a bunch of Marxists? You must belong to get along, okay? The American public, the American society is always going along to get along and has always supported the evil that is the nation. And they're worse now than they ever did. I mean, they were pretty bad, let's say, right after, they were pretty bad in 1790, 1791, 1787, okay? They were pretty bad then, but they're much worse now. At least there were some people then who were immersed in what was going on politically and who tried to make some changes from an honest, ethical perspective. Today, everyone's out for himself. No one gives a crap about anything. They're all out for themselves. And that's an aspect that Margie and I do not like. And I know you don't like it either, Dennis. Dennis. I'm thinking my brother Dennis. He might be listening to me.
Okay.
Anyway, it goes to the fact that people are not concerned about anything but themselves, self-direction, self-ego, what can I get out of it? And that's it. Now, the American people have always been a sucker for fraud. And last week we spoke about the foreclosure. We had some people who called in. Well, my God, I predicted that thing years before it ever happened. I predicted the bailout, and I was offering the bailout. I said the initial bailout will be $8 trillion, but it will at least triple, okay? So that's $24 trillion. And people say, oh, you're crazy, that's something happened. What are you talking? Bailout? If there's that much of a problem, the government's going to give the money to the homeowner. They'll never give the money to the banks. They say, you're dreaming, right? 24 trillion is a lot of money. I was off by 15 trillion. The total bailout was $39 trillion. To to the bankers and corporate America and vested interests, thanks to our evil, absolute evil government. And that burden is being paid for by the American people. But the American people don't know anything about it. They don't care. I talked about the enormous foreclosure epidemic that was going to take place, and people said, no, that's not going to happen. I don't know exactly how many people lost their homes, but it's like, I heard it's like 15 people. I mean, my God, that's a lot of people. It's a lot of homes to lose, okay? But if the American people aren't clued into the fraud that's being perpetrated by the banks and the loans and the phony economic system and the so-called below prime mortgages, okay, which was a joke, all right? I mean, my God, below prime has a certain connotation. Yeah, subprime, below prime. It has a certain connotation, right? And it means what it should mean. Well, these below prime or subprime mortgages had nothing to do with the prime rate. They were up the yin-yang, okay? And they were selling these mortgages to people who couldn't afford them, and people were so stupid to buy the mortgages, okay? And 6 months later, they lose their homes. Well, I feel sorry for the people who lost their homes, but why weren't they aware of the fraud place? They weren't. They're not aware of the fraud that's taking place now. They're just not aware of anything. A few people are. I will give you that. You might have in this country maybe 1% of the people who are somewhat aware of what's going on. It's not very much. 1% is very limited.
You have to also look at the nonsense that they think is important. All week long, we've been hearing stuff. This armed forces week, and this award and that award, or whatever. The American people are in love with the idea of military might, and that is the stupidest thing they could be concerned with. What they don't realize is that this military isn't out there to save the world or bring democracy to foreign countries. It's the enforcement arm, okay? The goon squad
Just like the cops.
for the rich elite people.
Yeah.
They're goons for the rich elite.
Yeah, foreign mercenaries. Yeah, go ahead.
First, mercenaries for bankers and for large corporations. They're not out to help people. I'm not saying that there aren't a few nice kids in the soldiering group who care about the little kid and feed his puppy or whatever. But by and large, these guys are enforcers for evil. And yet the American people continue to applaud them and, make a big show of honoring them at football games. And it's nauseating. Because if these guys were smart and they never went into the service in the first place, there'd be nobody to enforce what the goons want done, okay? And we'd have a different world, because these creeps aren't going to go out there and get their hands dirty. No, they'll use somebody else's sons and daughters as cannon fodder to get their next conquest accomplished. They're not going to do it themselves. And now, with all of the droning and everything else that we're doing, it won't be long before we don't even have to have any kids doing it, because they'll have cyborgs or AI or whatever finishing the job. We really are refining art of mayhem to an extreme degree. And again, it's the fault of the people for allowing this and for applauding it and thinking it's good. It's sickening. And we should be so embarrassed and ashamed to hang our hat on the coattails of the ruthless mercenary military, which is what our military has become. It's pathetic. It's just absolutely pathetic.
Sure. Well, it fits right in line with the fact that they get the typical American Christian to to bow at the feet of Israel and to kiss them up, right? I mean, it's the most pathetic thing you'd ever want to see. The organization that makes the SS Stormtroopers look like Boy Scouts, and they're gonna kiss them up like they're special class or something. When they admit in their own public writings that they're not really Israel and they are Khazars.
Yeah, they're Khazarians, that's right. I mean, there aren't really, the Jews were wiped out basically in Masada. I mean, the real Jews were Semites.
That was those were the ones who died in Nazi Germany and Europe.
Yeah. Well, the few that were left.
The last remnant of original Israel.
Well, yeah, they're gone. And there weren't that many of them either, because remember what happened when the Khazars decided to take on a religion, Jewry. for whatever reason, for escaping the Huns and all of the other things. They were ruthless people, the Khazars, ruthless, and real criminals. And
Well, it was a good
shysters.
cover, a great cover, I guess, right?
Yeah, it was a great cover. The bottom line, though, is they are shysters of the worst order. They're ruthless to the nth degree, and yet we laud Israel and say what a great country it is, and it's our best ally and everything, and they're ripping us off every single day. To the tune of
the American people accept that. They go along with it.
They're mindless. And you try to tell somebody what's really going on and what Israel really represents, and they're, are you an anti-Semite? No.
No, I'm a
But
pro-truth.
these guys aren't
You're an
even
anti-Semite.
Semitic people. The Arabs are the Semites.
How can you be a Semite and be anti-Semite at the same time, right?
You cannot be. You cannot be. I mean, the whole thing is insane beyond measure, and yet people don't get it.
Yeah, that term first came up with Norman Dodd. He became part of the Reese Commission, but Norman Dodd worked for banking in like the 1920s. And they said, Norman, why don't you go figure out what the Great Depression's all about? Come back and give us an answer. And he figured it out. And when he came back with the answer, they said, that's okay. Just forget about your research. Go behind your desk and do your job. And everything will be right. Come play golf at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so he couldn't do that anymore. Within 2 years, he quit his job in the banking. And then he became part of the Reese Commission, exposing the communist agenda through primarily the foundational trusts like the Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundations, that they were funding an educational society in England to come over here and teach our school teachers how to deceive the American people and create a new history. And so that was so when Norman Dodd was coming forward, then he was the first one they accused of being an anti-Semite. That's when it came out.
Yes, that's right. And anybody that dares speak against what they were pushing, and basically it's the communist agenda, was an anti-Semite. And that shut everybody up. And of course, when you look at all of the fraudulent reporting that's gone on over the years, and not to take anything away from the people who did suffer in the so-called Holocaust, but those figures are outrageously. And they've used that as an excuse to silence anybody who dares speak about the atrocities that Israel has been committing forever. It's just such an injustice on the face of this earth, that this nation state, as it likes to call itself, is doing what it's done to those poor Palestinians forever. And Israel is looked upon as the hero, and the Palestinians are looked upon as garbage. Human beings, when are we going to wake up to the truth? When are we going to see through the illusion that our masters have been shoving down our throats since we were little kids? When you're a kid, you say, well, you don't know any better, right? You get it from your parents, your teachers, from the media, from osmosis, whatever. But as you get older, you should be able to have a little bit of discernment and see maybe this doesn't quite add up to the stuff that I've been told. I wonder why. Maybe I should look into this. Instead, people just turn away or they put their head in the sand. I don't want to know. See, Jack and I could never do that. We were always but why. As kids in school, we probably were very annoying to our teachers because it was always, well, why is it like that? What does this really mean? And it's tough to teach kids like that on the one hand because they're disruptive, but exciting because you say, hey, this kid might have a light on. Maybe there's actually something going on in this kid's brain besides looking forward to lunch and recess.
But like I said before, and as we discussed before, the American people do not object to anything. They don't challenge it. They simply accept it. And they've been accepting it forever. So the government can sell them anything the government wants to sell them. The institutions can sell them anything the institutions want to sell them. And the American people buy it. Like getting back to the mortgage scenario. I mean, my God, the people couldn't see what the hell was going on. People who were borrowing money were being given all sorts of money on houses that weren't worth what they were getting, okay, with payments that were way the hell beyond their means, but the people still accepted the payments. Now, there were some legitimate people who lost to foreclosure, who weren't duped, who tried to do the right thing. But the foreclosure epidemic hit everyone because that was the intent. But again, the American people do not learn at all. They do the same thing over and over again. They don't learn from mistakes. That's why we call them very stupid. Now, there are smart people in America. Yes, I admit it. But they're smart in the box people. I'm talking about smart out of the box people. Very few of those, okay? And we've often said that people are so stupid they don't even know they're stupid. Well, let me back that up. A sane person, and there aren't too many sane people in this country or this world today, but a semi-sane person who has rudimentary, not high intelligence, basic rudimentary intelligence, and some basic rudimentary common sense, can realize that he's made mistakes after a certain period of time. Oh my God, look what I've done. I've made mistakes. And then he tries to rectify the mistakes, or he tries to correct them, or takes a different course of action so that won't happen again. But the American people never think they make mistakes. So if they never make mistakes, there's nothing to correct. And that's the problem with America. There's nothing to correct. Everything is fine. This is the best of all possible worlds, the Pangloss syndrome. We're going back to Candide. But it's really insane. And we're talking about the mortgage situation, foreclosure situation. I have a tough time. Well, I don't have a tough time at all. It's very easy for me to believe. But in a common sense nation, there would not have been millions of people who lost their homes to foreclosure because they would not have fallen into that trap. But Americans fell into that trap because they didn't know, they didn't investigate, they didn't challenge, they didn't question.
Yeah, and it was the same trap the farmers fell into.
Everyone falls into it.
Yeah.
They don't learn, does it?
Question.
They don't understand.
Sign on the dotted line.
And then when the foreclosures happened and people started losing their homes to millions, and you know what it is to lose a home. I mean, my God.
Right. Well, the banks were getting enough of that illusion, and therefore they had to foreclose, right?
Yeah, they foreclosed and they did well. They did much better in the foreclosure. Okay. Yeah, but the American people still didn't understand that they had the right to property, which could not be taken from them except pursuant to due process of law.
Yeah.
You have the right to life, liberty, happiness, and property in this country that cannot be taken from us except pursuant to due process of law. It's a constitutional guarantee. It's a guarantee under due process of law. It's a guarantee under the Constitution. It's further guaranteed specific to the unenumerated rights of the Ninth Amendment. But how many people in this country use constitutional positions to get their homes back? Well, people who follow our methods, they told us they did, okay? They fought the system, they got their homes back, all right? We didn't help them get the homes back, we just gave them our methods. If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it on your own. This is how we would do it. They were successful, all right? But those were very, very few in comparison to the millions. What was it, 12 million, Marty?
Something like that.
Something like 12 to 15 million people who lost their homes, okay? Because they didn't know what the hell they were doing to begin with. Then when they got into the problem, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And they didn't know how to extricate themselves from the problem. And as I said last week, they used the methods supplied by the system, which were put into place to suppress the people, but the people thought those methods would defeat the system. I mean, my God, come on.
More illusion and delusion.
Take a look at the pond. And take a look at the real way, which is the Constitution. But people that use the Constitution to retrieve their rights, to retrieve their homes, and to, let's say, emphasize due process of law, which almost no one in this country emphasizes. Or, you know, it's like the lost art. So I don't have any hope for America to people. Now, maybe if we had Germans or Irish or Italians in America instead of Americans, we have a better country. But we don't. We have America. Oh, there it is.
They love you.
Yeah.
They love you.
Yeah. Well, you know, they had to take Bullwinkle and Rocky off the air real early in their wonderful cartoon presentation they had with all these different educational clips they had for these cartoons, you know, and the scientist and all this other. But they had that one I keep thinking about when we're talking about bankers is Snidely Whiplash. You know, they were telling us, weren't they?
That's they were telling us. That was one of my favorite cartoons. One of my favorite teachers, my English teacher.
And Boris Badenoch, right?
Badenoch and Natasha.
Couldn't get any worse, could it? Go ahead.
Or something else.
Yeah.
And Bullwinkle.
Yeah. Yeah, they were so creative, you know. I mean, I remember being little and watching that, and it was just a classic. And then to realize that they put those people out of business because they were telling too much truth in cartoons. You know?
That's right. Can't have that now.
No.
Truth is very dangerous in an evil society.
Yeah.
Very, very dangerous.
Anything that might possibly wake up the sheep is a threat to the powers that be.
So how much time do you think we have left before they pull the plug on our phony finances?
The plug has already been pulled. It was pulled a long time ago.
It's all going down the drain, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's no resurrecting. I mean, come on.
I think that the ship might have sailed, sadly. I mean, it's tragic to me.
Yeah.
You know how
well, you know what it seems like we're going into right now? I've got a couple good YouTube researchers out there, and that's where I get my news. In other words, there's a couple, you know, doing the weather. There's some that do earthquakes and others, and they're really good at it. And so there's one guy, he's doing, what's it called? 2030, Aware 2030 or something like that. And he does like a 5-minute clip every day. And he's proven out through the historical cycle that right now what we're actually in is a grand solar minimum. And the reason he's calling his program Aware 2030 is because by every year from now on, it's going to get colder and colder. And we're going into a mini ice age. And by 2030, we're going to be full blown. In other words, there ain't going to be no crops. We're going to see people starving and eating each other.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I thought, oh well, that's one way to end this misery, isn't it? Everybody starves.
Yeah, and I was hoping for Nibiru, you know, and where is it?
True, you know, you never know.
I got my gas mask all ready to put on, you know, and they changed the program again. I can't get over it.
You know, they've been talking about the Bureau since the 50s. I know about this.
It doesn't mean that it's not real, guys.
Right. We just have to hang in there. You know,
there's so much fraud out there. Who knows what's real? Okay, and holograms can be set forth anywhere, anytime the system wants it. Okay.
Yep.
So I don't know whether the Bureau is real or not. My feeling is that it probably is not. But back in the 60s, I figured that we would have something enter into the system sometime between 2020 and 2030. Okay. Now, I didn't know whether that was going to be the Bureau or something else, but it may be this new wave of light or this new consciousness that people are speaking about. Some people, not a lot of people, some people. And maybe if we have a new wave of consciousness or a vibrational resonance that creates enhanced consciousness, that may be the solution because the people cannot do it alone. I mean, they've proven it. Come on, guys, we know that. The people, the American people have proven over and over and over again that they're basically useless, okay? In terms of freedom, in terms of truth, in terms of reality, in terms of facts, they're useless. In terms of supporting evil, they're great, okay? So they're not going to do it on their own. Now, there are a few people out there, you know them, I know them, a few people who are trying to do the right thing, but they're not getting it. Oh, gave up, the prevention. So the people are not going to do it as a society. If anything is going to happen, it would have to be in close to spiritual intervention. Or I don't think God's going to, even if there is a God. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. That hasn't been determined. is some type of higher intelligence. The question is, what is that higher intelligence? And what the most people pray to is not the real God, okay, or the real intelligence who put everything into motion eons ago, all right? The God that the people pray to today, Gnostic text, which is pretty reliable, is a character named Yaldabaoth. And he was the God of this earth going way, way back. He was an insane being who was created by an Aeon who thought she was doing the right thing through the creation of him, as the story goes, as the Gnostic story goes. But he became insane and subdued humans on the earth, and we've been subdued as slaves to that tyrannical system, which he basically controls forever. And the people pray to their captor. They pray to the guy who enslaved them. They pray to that God. And they don't ask questions about who he is or what he is. They don't ask questions about the evil of the world and why evil is allowed to continue. And they're fed a lot of nonsense that we must grow and we must learn. What a load of crap. An absolute load of crap. Okay? But people don't see crap. They don't see the bullshit.
Yeah.
It's after it happens to them, they still
They're
don't see it.
brainwashed. I mean,
Well,
anything that wants to be worshipped
Yeah.
by a suspicious of evil.
Well,
Okay.
that's why they call them priesthoods, because, you know, if you're wearing a hood, they can't see your face, and that's what the hood
Yes.
symbolizes.
Yeah,
Right. They're hiding out behind those nice little black dresses. you know.
yeah, the black dresses.
Yeah, and monasteries, the word molest means to violate the body, right? By touching the body, that's molest,
Yes.
right? So monastery means to manipulate the mind. That's the difference between molest and monast.
What a combination, huh?
Yeah, so mind control started in the monasteries.
Yeah, well, for
Yeah.
sure. And they spread it far and wide.
Well, you've done a great study on the derivation of words and their original meanings, how they were put together, which is valuable because there are meanings of words, but people don't really
Yeah.
look at the meanings of
Well, Confucius said, signs and symbols rule the world, and not words nor law. So I just wanted to ask you about the symbolism I'm seeing right now, because even though I don't get caught up in the grand illusion of the political state, because it's all phony, even though we would want to like Trump and think he's a good guy, but he's already flip-flopped on a lot of things he said he would do. So he looks like the classic double standard puppet that they've always used. And so we know what Islam is doing to all of Europe and the rest of the world. All the Americas are now infiltrated by Islamic deviants who are totally narcissistic and want to drink our blood because they only serve the dark side. They're obviously not serving the God of love, because they would love their enemies then, which is what Yeshua taught. But they hate our guts because we're not like them, and therefore they've been given the power trip because of the payment under the table by the government. And so when we see the first time Trump leaves Washington and goes to another political state, he goes to the Saudi family in Arabia and visits them. So is that not telling us that the Muslim agenda is on full blown, even though he talks about Islamic terrorism, we're going to stop Islam and all that stuff?
Yeah. Oh, it's all real.
Yeah.
There's a script in place, and these guys are just players. And even if he thought he was for real, even if he thought it would be something different, once they get into the office itself, they show them the reality, and they either go along to get along, or they have an accident, or they trip you, or whatever. But you know how it goes.
Yeah.
So even if he worsens it, and that's a slight chance that he worsens it, or whether it was his ego or the drugs or whatever.
Most
The
people.
reality is a whole different thing from what we think.
Yeah. Most people don't even know that the royal families are not royal, and that they were simply made wealthy by our buying gasoline.
Yes, that's right. The whole thing is a fraud. It's all BS. Totally.
We could have bought our own gasoline and had a wealthy nation and a bullet train.
Yeah, but that would have served the agenda.
No.
Because, you know, you can't have a one world order, so to speak, with a very strong, healthy, independent America that goes for freedom.
Yeah.
Think about that one. Can't happen. So we were just a stepping stone. We were to rule everybody in here. And we were the white hat, the world's cowboy and the world's father, the protector for years. Now we're the world's aggressor, soon to be the world's biggest blockade.
If Trump were really serious, if he were really serious, he would have arrested the traitors right away.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
For their treason right away. Never mind them getting impeached. Treason is a crime against the people. He could have arrested Obama. He could have arrested the two countries. He could have arrested Trump.
Clinton, who keeps on ticking, Hillary Clinton, keeps on ticking.
Yeah.
Right.
He could have arrested Lynch and basically started on Congress. They're all traitors. I mean, can you think of one public person in politics who's not a traitor? I can't think of one. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
They all support the agenda. They all support the Fed, no matter what they say. The Fed is a treasonous bank. They all support that system. That's treason right there. And then you go beyond that into the enormous acts of treason and the enormous unconstitutional actions that they take each and every day. The enormous actions that violate due process of law that they perpetuate each and every day. He would have had a field day, but he didn't do that. He didn't go on the offensive right away. He didn't fulfill his promises right away. He went on the defensive right away. Now, take a look at this ridiculous scenario. The Republicans control the House, they control the Senate, they control the executive office, right? There's an investigator recently appointed to investigate the Trump connection to Russia. Are we serious here? The Republicans control all of it, yet there's an independent investigator looking into Trump for his connection to Russia. Okay? What about Obama? What about his connections?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the Clinton Foundation selling a certain share of the U.S. Uranium resource to Russia, right?
Of course.
Well, it was all thanks to Hillary. Come on.
Yeah.
We said forever that the Republican Party is a joke, just like the Democratic Party is a joke. And the Republican Party is the second tier of the Communist Party in America, while the Democratic Party is the first tier. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But the American people don't see this, and they don't care. They don't give a deal. So if we don't have something that comes in, such as this migratory wave, which may be, pie in the sky again, it may be a total myth. If we don't have something like that, it's over. Because the American people do not have it in themselves to make any change. Now, I always leave out hope, okay? But I don't think they even have the ability to change through hope. I don't see it. Do you see it, Marty?
I don't know. They're so numb. It just seems to me, and of course, there's so many people on medication or pills or information who are suffering from depression and who are, scrapping just to get by to, basically pay their bills every month. That I don't see much light at the end of that tunnel. So, I have to say, I don't look hopeful. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love something to come along that would really awaken people and get their souls on fire again. And actually,
Sometimes I wake up in the morning and just imagine them all stricken dead, like that miracle might happen, but it ain't going to happen,
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be great? Wow.
Well,
if Nibiru was real, that might happen.
Sure. Yeah, they'd have to get locked on the outside of the underground bases, and I don't know if that's going to happen either.
Unless the underground bases prove to be their final resting place. So
True.
People have been speaking about Nibiru for a long, long time. And there's a whole industry of people who are making money talking about the Bureau, selling products, selling this, selling that. Talking about going to the Ozarks, you know, establishing clubs and
A la Y2K, same deal, right?
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. I hate to keep saying that, but it pretty much is. If the Bureau were really there, why the hell doesn't someone have a lock on it? Okay?
Someone might have a lock, but they're not going to tell us.
And people say, oh, well, it's coming up from the south. Oh, really? Well, from the south, they have telescopes as well. And the Roman Catholic Church has a telescope somewhere. I think it's Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona. And it's called Lucifer. What does that tell you about the Roman Catholic Church?
Mm-hmm.
And theoretically, they're looking for the Bureau.
Yeah, well, I understand that the Vatican owns virtually all of the telescopes around the world. That's why.
Actually, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know there's something there. We just don't know when and how.
I don't know if there's anything
I
there.
think so.
I don't know if there's anything there. There may be something.
Something beyond
Now,
us.
I said a long time ago when I was a kid that this system, and I don't know why I said it, but I was about 8 years of age when I said this. Our system is a perfect square. I mean, I'm talking the solar system. It's a perfect square. And there are 22 planets in the system. And if you configure them, it comes out to a perfect square, almost a cube. Okay? And they're finding out now there are more planets in the solar system. But we don't have any particular lock on any of them, and we certainly don't have a lock on the Bureau. It's all speculation. But people are saying that it's going to come in and it's going to intersect with Earth's orbit when it comes into our system, then intersect with Earth's orbit when it goes out of the system, and it's going to cause all sorts of catastrophe upon the Earth. I don't see it. I don't believe it. Okay? And those who claim that they've seen the Bureau, who make that claim, I think they're seeing some type of hologram that is being shot up into the atmosphere so people could make that claim. I don't believe much of anything. Okay? Anything that comes from mankind, I don't believe. All right? If it comes from a proven spirit, I may believe it. But from mankind, I don't believe it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Okay, well, you for sure appreciate your views tonight, and we just have to keep hoping that somehow they'll trip over themselves. And Babylon. I don't know the real story of Babylon. Sometimes I think there's more to it, and we're not, hearing all of it. But there is the potential here, because just like the Great Flood that apparently came to destroy the giants and much of the evil race at the time, I know that the ace card is that these people are mortal too, and therefore what goes around comes around, and the great spirit of life that made all things is not happy with them because of their narcissism and their psychopathic nature. So something fantastic could happen that could give any of us a reprieve, that it's not always their game, that they're just on the chessboard like everybody else, and that they go back to dirt when it's all said and done. So I'm hoping, I want to leave that one ace card available for something good to happen on Earth. Otherwise, I don't care. I know I'm out of here soon. Sooner the better. As far as I care, I'm sick of it.
So
Well, let me
we get you.
let me give you a brief perspective in terms of how I look at it. Okay? I am so disgusted with this earth and with the human race that my fondest wish is to cease to exist for all time. Okay?
Yeah.
Just go extinct. It's the end of it for all time. I would rather have that than deal with idiots and fools. And that's what I'm surrounded with, idiots and
Except for
fools.
me, of course.
And with the present company.
Yeah, and right here's Julie over here too, right? I mean, come on.
But when you deal with societies and humanity, you're dealing with idiots and fools.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So who the hell wants to spend eternity with wackos like that?
They got rid of Bullwinkle and Rocky, and they started giving them Mickey Mouse and all that other garbage, Right from the beginning. Right from the beginning.
Anything that might
Mickey Mouse. And as far as the Great Spirit is concerned, maybe there is a Great Spirit. Maybe there isn't a Great Spirit. I don't know.
I think there is.
I don't know. I have a feeling there is someone or something more than someone out there that has ability, that maybe was the creator of all. But if that's the case, and he's aware of what the hell's going on down here, he can wipe out evil in a tenth of a second if he wanted to.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Well, it's the place of choices. We have to make choices, and that's part of our consciousness.
We haven't made a very good choice in a lot of different things.
We've got to start making the right ones in spite of everybody else. So, Jack and Margie, give out your contact information, and we're so grateful for you to be here. We'll be back next week.
Next week, I hate to tell you, but we can't be back with you next week because we have a family engagement.
Okay, well, no problem. We can.
Came up.
Yeah. Well, we can supplement, so not a problem. But give out your contact information and how people can reach you.
Our website is citizensoftheamericanconstitution.net. Just as it sounds, citizensoftheamericanconstitution.net. And the easiest website for us, or the easiest email, I should say, is takebackourrights@yahoo.com.
One more time.
Takebackourrights@yahoo.com. If anyone would like to have a copy of our methods, we'll be glad to send them to you by email. Just email us for the copy. We'll be glad to send you out somewhere.
Well, outstanding. Jack and Margie, thank you so much for your time tonight, your insight, and
thank you, David.
Yeah, and all your dedication and research you've done for all these years. So it's a great opportunity. Okay, so we'll talk to you in 2 weeks then, and in the meantime, be safe out there and stay in touch, and we'll do the same. All right.
Be well. Be safe.
Good night. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, stand by. What's coming up next, part 2 on the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, though, those priesthoods wearing those hoods, not wanting you to see their face, just that black image under the hood. Well, we've got the original thought in the Gospel of Mark. We've got pieces that have been taken out and are being put back in. I started just earlier this week on this project because I realized when I did the Book of Wisdom based on the original thought, they have trouble reading the Indo-Germanic, which is what I've imported. And so I realized I had to do the scriptures that everybody is familiar with. And that's the Gospel of Mark. It's the shortest, and that makes it the easiest to do. So it's going to take me about 45 days, but I'm going to be bringing it on. I did a sample reading of it earlier this week, and or last week. Now I'm going to bring you almost the first 3 chapters of the Gospel of Mark. It's actually the star message. Gospel means star message. The message has always been in the stars, but they changed the subject line, and nobody gets the picture anymore. But it's based on the original thought, so you're going to hear. Get your Gospel of Mark out, King James or NIV, whichever one, I don't care. But you're going to hear it like you've never heard it before. Okay, so it's going to be really profound. And if you love the scriptures, it's going to be really sweet. Okay, and then I'm going to give a sample of the Colburn, something I read today. The Colburn, which is the best kept secret on earth, also. The scriptures that Joseph of Arimathea, the great uncle of Yeshua, Jesus, carried with him. And so stand by for part 2, okay? Don't go anywhere. I'm just taking a voice break and we'll be right back. They didn't want you to know. Those priesthoods. And we'll still take callers, okay? Don't forget, or call in. The website with the caller number is always therealpublicradio.net. Therealpublicradio.net. Right-hand side, you can list the number. *5 raises your hand. There's still time to call your friends. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Forbidden History series, the piracy of words and the other lost writings, and now a new transliteration. It's not translation. Translation is magic. Okay, you can't have a translation. It's a transliteration of the ancient scriptures in our modern time, going back to what the original would have been breathing in the Aramaic, but in our modern time. Okay, it's something nobody's ever done before. And if you want to know about original thought, then you're just going to have to stay tuned, because this is what I talk about. It's the primary mission here, the original thought. Let me get a little more light going. Hang on. So, and welcome to all of our listeners. If you're listening in for the first time, I'm your host, Desert Owl, a bird who sees in the night. That's OWL, not AL. Some people think it's Desert Owl, but it's Desert Owl. And it's a spiritual metaphor that the Heavenly Father gave to me through my meditations and studies. And it's because, well, he's an owl too. The Great Father sees all things in the night. I just see a little bit in the night, but I see enough now to where I'm going to share with you a profound read. And so the challenge I have with bringing forth the original thought is to keep some of the modern element so that I don't lose the reader. And so basically with the nouns, the primary words, or what we call names, I have what's the root form of the original, and then I have the modern, so that way they can read both and see the distinctions, okay? And then I have the dictionary that's in the back that supports it. And if you want a copy of this, any size donation, okay, through contact at FreeAmericaRadio.com. That's our email, or our PayPal email, contact at FreeAmericaRadio.com, or go to therealpublicradio.net and be glad to get you a copy. So I'm going to just read what I have from the beginning of this work, okay? Just going to read through it. It's not a lot, but this is the first time I'm actually reading all of this on air. So so I'm hearing it for the first time as well out loud. I read it to myself as I was transliterating, even today, and then and I may have to stop and make a correction or two. Okay, so doing a live on air, making history, being a part of history, and I'm glad you tuned in. Okay, thanks for being there. Love to hear from you on the side. If you don't want to ask a question by Skype, Free America Radio, all one word, Free America Radio, or get on the conference line. Afterwards, you want to give me a heads up, radio check. Love to hear from you. Okay, got a question? I'll answer it on the side as well. The Gospel of Mark, the star message of light and truth via Mark, the oral recollections of Shimon Peter. Shimon Kefe is actually Peter. Peter is a supplanter. We've got to deal with the conspiracy of history, ladies and gentlemen. The priesthood destroyed our scriptures, and so we've got to see through the facade and get back to it originally produced in Latin, our sacred scriptures that are all based upon the original thought. See the word gospel in dictionary, using the ancient Indo-Germanic Aramaic mother tongue, Pseudo-Phoenician Sanskrit, the true original Sanskrit, the Archaic Malic, which is the original thought. Our Aramaic is Archaic Malic. That's how they abbreviated words. They abbreviated them outside the Vatican at the College of Abbreviators. Go figure. They call it what it is. They abbreviated our words. Aramaic is Archaic Malic. Okay, there's meaning in the word. I'm not going to get into that right now. You got to get the dictionary. The true mother tongue, or tone, within the true sounds of Zeyun, as researched and produced by A. Mike the Hill Desert Owl, for the separated ones. Correctly divide and then add up the words of truth. A primer on the ancient Indo-Germanic mother tongue. And I have this quote here from Ignatius which he wrote to the Philadelphians in circa 90 AD, and just in other words, just after all of the legates or apostles now had passed, he said this: "Now I have heard it declared by some who say that unless I can find it written in the original writings, I will not recognize it to be written within my own scriptures. But then, once it has been plainly revealed to them that this is the way that it has been written, they then respond back with what is laying there before them within their own corrupted text." And that was written from Syria, the letter of Ignatius for the Philadelphians, circa 90 AD, from the lost books of the Bible and the forgotten books of Eden. This is all copyright 2017 in the Kingdom of Heaven, the Royal House of the Sun, by A. Micah Hill, Desert Owl. Especially dedicated to the unjustly incarcerated men and women of America and worldwide, now unlocking the eternal pure seed, hiding behind the great mystery of life. Introduction. After the passing of the legates, apostles, Mark, the interpreter of Shemun, Kefe, Peter, transmitted to us in writing the things proclaimed, preached by Kefe, Peter. Eusebius, The History of the Church, book 5, 8, 9. Let me just get a little more light here, just a minute. This is how the divine word had made its home among the people of Rome. Kefe, Peter's life force, was then extinguished and destroyed in a moment with the man himself. So brightly shone the light of the true religion just making an adjustment here, forgive me. Like I say, I'm editing here as we're doing the program. So brightly shone the light of true religion on the minds of Kefe, Peter's hearers, not being satisfied with a single hearing or with the oral teaching, which is seed planting, of the divine message alone. They resorted to appeals of every kind to induce Mark, whose gospel we now have, as he was the aid and follower of Kefe, Peter, to leave them in writing a summary of the instruction they had already received by word of mouth. Nor did they let him go until they had fully persuaded him, and thus they became responsible for the writing of what is commonly known as the Gospel of Mark. It is said that upon learning by revelation of the Spirit what had happened to Kefe Peter, the legate was delighted at their enthusiasm and authorized the reading of the book in all the community of the called out. The called out ones. Clement quotes the story in outlines book 4. And his statement is confirmed by the bishop Papias of Hierapolis, that's in Egypt, who also points out That Mark is mentioned by SKYPE, Peter, in his first letter, which he is said to have composed in Rome itself. As he himself indicates when he speaks to the city figuratively as Babylon. The called out in Babylon, chosen, like yourselves, sends you greeting, as doth Marcus, my son. Read 1 Peter 5:13. Mark is said to have been the first man to set out for Egypt and to proclaim there the star message that he had written down himself, and the first to officially establish the called out in Alexandria itself. So large was the body of followers of both men and women building up there that a first attempt was made in producing a strict code of conduct for life, in that Philo decided that he must record in writing all of their very activities, gatherings, meals, and everything else about their way of life. Eusebius, The History of the Church, Book 2, 1516. Mark, who had been SKYPE Peter's interpreter, wrote down carefully, but not in order, all that he could remember of our healer's doings. Since he had not heard our healer or been one of his followers, but later, as I said, he became one of SKYPE Peter's followers. SKYPE Peter used to adopt his teaching to the occasion without making a systematic arrangement. Of our healer's sayings, so that Mark was quite justified in writing down some things just as he had remembered them, since he had only one purpose, and that was to leave out nothing that he had heard and to make no misstatements about it. Clement found room in his writing for a tradition of the primitive authorities of the church, or church is a misnomer. It was the body of the called out, the perfect circle, the called out ones. Regarding the order of the Gospels, let me try this again. Clement found room in his writings for a tradition of the primitive authorities of the church regarding the order of the Gospels. It is this: he used to say that the earliest Gospels were those containing the genealogies, that'd be Matthew and Luke in particular, while Mark's originated as follows. When at Rome, SKYPE Peter had openly preached the word and by the Spirit. Had proclaimed the star message. The large audience urged Mark, who had followed him for a long time and remembered what had been said repeatedly, to write it all down. This he did, making his gospel available to all who wanted it. Then SKYPE Peter heard about this. he made no objection, nor gave any special encouragement. Last of all, aware that the physical facts had been recorded by these former star messages, encouraged by his pupils and irresistibly moved by the etheric breath, the spirit, John Yalkanon wrote the more esoteric Gospel, Eusebius, The History of the Church, Book 6, 14. In the beginning was and is the Word, the Logo, a star, a royal flaming sword that points in every direction, the soul, the sun of light, the symbol, soul, sul, shul, soul, that which is first is superior and original, natural law, maxim. But you must see and read it for yourself. So see, behold. Chapter Vonet 1. The proclamation of John Yochanan the Harbinger. A beginning of the star message of light by Yeshua the Mashiach, commonly known as Jesus the Christ, the seed of the son of light, original thought. See 1 John 1:5. As the word is scribed in the Avatar prophets, Isaiah, Isaiah, and Malachi. It is truth throughout all time. That you must see and read it for yourself. As you give ear, my Malachim, a royal messenger before the sun have I sent, to level out and make clear the highway before you. A voice of the one, shouting out on the barren desert plain, prepare, prepare. True Yisrael, and correct your ways. Be ready to meet your royal ruler at the temple gate. See Malachi 3:1 and Isaiah 43. That's 40, verse 3. Yochanan, John first appeared, alphabetizing. Baptizing on the barren desert plain while proclaiming the burial rite of purification in the rebirth of a star, repentance, for forgiveness and the putting away of the eyes that are closed in sin. So the whole district of Judah, Judea, and all the people of Jerusalem, went out to give ear and hear him. He then started burying all of them in the river Jordan. After they had professed the closing of their eyes, their A's. AYS. Yochanan, John, was dressed with a mashlak of woven camel's hair of many colors, with a leather girdle pulled tight around his waist. His food was the locust carob and the wild honey of the field. He breathed out his proclamation. You must see and read it for yourself. The I has come. He who is far greater than I am, the one whose inheritance I am not even worthy to bend down and to receive. I have alphabetized, baptized, and buried you with water. But the I, he will bury you with the great breath of the wind of and fire, the feyar, the pure breath, the Holy Spirit. The purification rite of Yeshua, Jesus. And it quickly occurred at that time that Yeshua, Jesus, came from the community of the Nazar, in Galilee. There was no town called Nazareth, ladies and gentlemen. The conspiracy of history. Glad to talk about it any time. And was, okay, so Yeshua came from the community of the Nazar in Galilee, and was alphabetized, baptized, and buried by Yochanan John in the Jordan River. When immediately just as he stood up from under the water, we saw the clouds open up, a small window, while a beam of light of the sun came directly through it. The sign of the great breath of the wind of fire, the Holy Spirit focusing down directly upon him with the brightness of a pure white dove. Then a voice came down from the sun, breathing, "This is my only loved seed, in whom I find my only delight. So give him your ears. Hear him." The testing of Yeshua, Jesus. Then the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit, immediately led him out into the desolate desert valley, where he remained in these desolate places for 40 days and 40 nights, being tried and tested by his egocentric serpent flesh, the accuser, misnomered as Hashatan, Satan. And when he had finally conquered the beast, the royal family had found him just near starvation, and they ministered to him. See serpent in the dictionary. The beginning of the ministry for the royal domain in the great house of the sun. It was now after the arrest and imprisonment of Yochanan John, when Yeshua, Jesus, returned to Galilee, proclaiming the star message of light and truth for the royal domain in the great house of the sun, the kingdom of Yahweh, God. As he breathed, "The end of all time has now come. For the royal domain in the great house of the sun, the kingdom of Yahweh, God, is come. Rebreathe with the breath of a star. Repent and follow in the star message." See Hebrews 9:26. Yeshua, Jesus, calls his first disciples. He was walking along the Sea of Galilee, when he saw Shimon, Simon, and his brother, Andrew, throwing their net into the sea as they were by trade fishermen. Yeshua, Jesus, called out to them, "Come and follow me, and I will show you how to catch the hearts of men." So they immediately left their nets and followed him. Moving on a little further, he saw the seed of light, Yaakov, James, Yaakov, and his brother Yochanan, John, the sons with the gift of writing, being Levitical scribes. They were also in a boat, refitting their nets. See Zebedee in the dictionary. And when he had called out to them, they immediately left Bar Zevdeh, their Abba, Father Zebedee, with the hired hands, and they followed him. A man with an impure nature. They continued along their way and entered into Capharnaum. And being the Shabbat, Sabbath, they immediately went into the temple. Where he was to be found seed planting, teaching. Those gathered there were all astounded by his seed planting doctrine, since he plowed and planted, taught as one who had the greatest authority, and not like their scribes. Now there was in the temple a man who was by his nature insane, and he shouted, by breathing out, Yeshulam va, Jesus, the Nazarene, the fire and lightning come down from above. What do we have in common with you? Have you now come down to torment and to destroy us? Before our time? I can see you for who you are, the anointed one, the pure one of Yahweh, God. Then Yeshua, Jesus, sparked forcefully against him by breathing, "Hold your tongue, ill wind, and leave him now." Then the ill wind gave him a seizure, bringing him down to the ground. Then he screamed with a loud voice, and the unnatural condition then permanently left him. Everyone there was astonished, each asking the other, "What did we just see?" He has a new seed planting doctrine within the great authority that is behind it, as he orders the ill winds and they blow away and are no more. So this story of his actions immediately spread throughout the entire coastal region of Galilee. Yeshua, Jesus, heals many at Shemun's house. It was then, when they left the temple, that they entered into the house of Shemun, Simon, and Anthrav, Andrew, his brother, along with Yaakov, James, his brother, Yochanan, John. The mother of Simon's wife, was laying there sick with a fever, so they were quick to tell him about her condition. So he walked over to her and took her by the hand, causing her to stand up, and immediately the fever left her. She then began to serve them all something to eat. At the end of the Shiva, Sabbath, when the sun went down, the local people brought before him anyone who was sick or suffering from unnatural conditions. See demon in the dictionary. It appeared as if the entire village was now gathered at the door. There he cured many who were ill with many kinds of diseases, while healing many who were insane. But he did not allow those who were insane to speak, because some of them were his previous acquaintances when young. See Lamsa Peshita, the Eastern text. A tour around Galilee. Early the next morning, while it was still dark, he rose up before everyone else and he headed out for an isolated place to create light. Prayer. Shemun, Simon, and those who followed him went out looking for him. Then after they had found him, they told him, "Everyone has been looking for you." So he breathed before them, "Let us walk on out into the nearby villages, so that I may plant seeds there as well, since this is the reason why I have come." So he was found reaching out to the creation, preaching. in all of their temples around the area of Galilee, driving out all of the unnatural and dark natures in the royal title of Yahweh. See most ancient texts. Yeshua, Jesus, cleanses a leper. At one point, a leper came calling out to him. Then he fell down. Kneeling at his feet. While saying to him, if you wanted to, you could make me, the mother's eye, clean and pure. Being moved by the travain, divine love, Yeshua, Jesus, had merciful compassion for him, while he reached out his hand, touched him on his head, and breathed before him, it is my will, be made pure. And while he was still speaking, sparking out with the blood of the earth, the leprosy was cast out and departed as he was made pure. That very moment. Then he instructed him and immediately sent him on his way with an important mission. Look here, tell it to everyone that you meet, but first, go and show yourself to the Amen priests, and offer up what Moses, prescribed for your own cleansing as a proper notice for all of mankind. Footnote, tell no one is an Aramaic idiom that means tell everyone. Most people don't know that. But instead, he immediately ran off and proceeded to shout out to the entire world the good news of what had just happened to him from far and wide, making it so that Yeshua, Jesus, could no longer openly enter any village without being surrounded by a large number of people. So he stayed without in the open and isolated valleys. And still the people flocked to see him from every quarter of the earth. Kaftor 2L 2. Yeshua, Jesus, heals one who is paralyzed. Once again, he entered Capernaum, and after a very short time, the word had quickly spread that he was back at Shemun, Simon's home, so that there was now such a great number of people that were gathered there that there was now no more room to hold them, not even at the doorway, so that he spoke very few words with them. But there were 4 men who came up to see him, carrying a stretcher, a man who was completely paralyzed. But since they were unable to get close to him on account of the crowd, they went up to the roof and removed the covering of the roof over the place where Yeshua Jesus was sparking. And they then lowered in a quilted sheet the man that was laying there paralyzed. Then Yeshua Jesus, seeing their victory of light, conviction, faith, breathed before the blood of the earth, man who was paralyzed. My little son, my little star, son, your closing of your eyes in sin has been forgiven you. Now there were some Levitical scribes who were sitting there, and they questioned among themselves, how can this man speak these sort of blind words? Who is able to forgive the closing of the eyes in sin other than the great eye, A, of Yahweh, God? And who granted the permission to tear up the house of this poor man? Now, Yeshua, Jesus, was conscious of them reasoning these things among themselves. So he breathed, do tell me, why are you perplexed by these events within your hearts? For what do you think would be easier to say to one who is paralyzed? The closing of your eyes is forgiven you? Or to say, stand up, pick up your bed, and walk? I can tell you that there is nothing more important than the forgiveness of mistakes, which allows for the further development of the royal family in the covenant of the great light. This reflection of the harvest miracle will be so that you can know that this seed of the sun has the power and authority of light while on earth to forgive all of the eyes that are closed in sin. See, Son of Man, a corruption of the original. He then looked back at the paralyzed man and breathed on him. Hear what I now tell you to do. Stand up. Pick up your bed. And walk back to your home. Then he immediately stood up, picked up his bed, and walked out. In the presence of them all, everyone there became astounded and acknowledged the great perfection in the light creation of Elohim. See, praised and glorified. By giving thanks to Yahweh, God, while breathing. We have never seen anything like this ever before. Yeshua, Jesus calls Levi, the bridge and way, Matluv Shalah, Methuselah, Matthew. Then once again, the eye, he went out walking along. Along the seaside, and all of the people came out to see him. And he plowed and planted seed within, taught them. And as he walked along the coast, he saw Levi, Barclay, son of Aphelius, seated among the tax collectors in the custom house. And he breathed upon him, "Follow me." Levi immediately stood up and followed him. Later that evening, as he was a guest dining and seated, by reclining on the floor, as was the custom, along with many other tax collectors and others who had their eyes closed, were also seated guests, along with Yeshua, Jesus, and his disciples. And there was a large number that followed him as well. Now the scribes and Pharisees, when they saw him dining with tax collectors and the lawbreakers, they breathed to his disciples, "How can he eat and drink with revenue agents and with lawbreakers?" When Yeshua, Jesus, heard that, he breathed before them, "Those who are whole and complete have no need for a Naga healer and pure breather of light, a doctor. But only those who are fallen ill. I did not come here to call out those who are perfect in the pure shelter of the divine law of light, righteous, but those who have their eyes closed and break the law. The question about the abstinence of slowing fasting. The disciples of Yochanan, John, and those of the Pharisees, were observing the fast, the tradition of abstinence, as was their custom. So they approached him and breathed. Why do the disciples of Yochanan, John, and of the Pharisees slow by abstinence, but your discipline do not? Yeshua, Jesus, breathed before them. Can the relations and seed line of the bridegroom's wedding feast fast? As long as the bridegroom is with them? Of course not. But the time has now come when this bridegroom is being taken away from them, and then in this day they will abstain and slow. No one takes a piece of new cloth and combines it with an old and unwashed fabric, because the patch would shrink and tear the older, weaker garment at the seam. Making it even worse than before. No one can pour fresh new wine, new vine, into old wineskins so that the wine will not destroy and then burst them, causing the wine to spill out. Because they only pour new wine into new wineskins, and then both the wine and the vessels are to be preserved. In this way, the laws of Moses, are fulfilled, all through my everlasting covenant, which has always been extant from the very beginning of time. The pronouncement about Yeshuv, the Shavah, Sabbath. It soon occasioned that while Yeshua, Jesus, chose to pass through some fields of grain on the Shavah, Sabbath, his disciplined disciples, while making their way, were picking up the heads of grain that were left behind from the harvesting to eat. Since all of Israel left behind a token of grain behind in the field for the devoted avatars, the widow, the fatherless, and the poor, for both the seed of Abraham, and for the foreigner. So the Pharisees breathed before him, "Give this mother's your ear, hear me. Why are they doing on the Shabbat, Sabbath, Dayel, day, that which is not lawful?" So he breathed before them. Did you ever read what David did when he was starving and in need, along with those who were with him? How they went into the Be'eth of Yahweh, the house of God, when Ahimelech, Abiathar, was then the high priest, and ate of the shulbreth, bread of the presence, from the sacrificial altar, which is not lawful to consume except for the priests, and he gave as well to those who were with him, and they are all guiltless. He expressed for them the original intent. The Shavah, Sabbath, is made for the blood of the earth, Adam, man, not man for the Shavah, Sabbath, so that even the sons of fire, of Feyor, fire, the seed of the sun, have authority over the Shavah, Sabbath. Or have you not read in the law how on the Shavah, Sabbath, that the priests go against the Shavah and are held without guilt? I can tell you the truth, that someone far greater than the temple is standing right here before you. And if you would have known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the innocent. Kaftor Tre 3. The mason with a withered hand. Once again, Yeshua, Jesus, was found in a temple, and there was a man, blood of the earth, there who had one hand shriveled from injury, so that he could not work. So the priesthood was watching him to see if he would heal on the Shabbat, Sabbath, so that they could press charges against him. He then addressed the man with the stricken hand and breathed, "Please stand up and come forward." Then he breathed before them, Is it permitted on the Shabbat, Sabbath, to perform the work of light or of darkness? To do good or to perpetuate injury? To restore a life or to quell life? But they all sat there and remained silent. Then he looked around indignantly, acknowledging each one of them, being grieved at the stone hardness of each of their hearts. So he breathed before the blood of the earth, "Man, reach out your hands." Then he stretched them out, and his stricken hand was restored exactly as the other. The Pharisees then stormed out and began conspiring with those who were of Herod's agency regarding Yeshua, Jesus, on how to kill him. A giant gathering at the seaside. But Yeshua, Jesus, with his disciples, headed back to the sea, while a great number of people from Galilee following with him, as well as a large number that followed him from Judea, Jerusalem, and Idumea, being from the other side of the Jordan, including the cities of Tyre and Sidon. As the word had spread wide about all that he was doing, the people came to him. So he told his disciples to bring a boat over to him and to have it ready, as it was to prevent him from being crushed by the crowd, because he was healing so many. Anyone that had any medical complaint was pressing towards him, if only just to touch him. Then those who were troubled with mental illness, when they came near him, fell down before him and shouted, "You are the Son of Fire, the seed of the Son of God." And numerous times he had to strictly order them to be quiet and not to make him known. Yeshua, Jesus, officially appoints the 12 legates. He then climbed up on a mountainside and proceeded to call those who he wanted to speak with, and one at a time they came to him. This is when he officially chose the 12, who would be the closest with him, whom he would officially send out speaking to the world, as well as to have the power to heal the sick and to restore the mentally ill. So he appointed as the 12 Simon, who he gave the title Kephe, misnomered as Peter. And that's where it ends right there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that it was as good for you as it was for me, because reading that for the first time like that, I realized what Yeshua is doing with me in the original thought. And it is the attempt to preserve that which is being broken and destroyed, distorted, corrupted. And it is dedicated to those who are in prison, whether in the institutions in America or in prison in their bodies, because our body is a grave and it is a prison. That is the serpent. That is the Hashatan. That is the Satan. That is the accuser. It is the flesh. And it is the thing that needs to be overcome. So I hope you got something out of it. I'm not up to reading the culprit now. I just pushed my limit. But tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, you'll have willing, I'll do the culprit. Wonderful deep reading that I have right here. I hope you tell your friends about the broadcast. You'll share the link to this particular program and help us in a small way to make it a better world. For those who are struggling and need the light of truth, rays of hope, to know the greater meaning of burning swords of fire, the words that we breathe here. Because you don't get this anywhere else. I'm rather certain, at least I've not heard it. I've been looking and listening. But we have the original thought in diction. So I'm Desert Owl telling you, and thanking you for tuning in. But remember, if you want to know the future, just look for the forbidden history. I'll see you. To tell your